There's something that every man does when he's genuinely in love. It's something he simply wouldn't do if he were just casually interested or only passing time with you. The difference is so stark that once you notice it, you'll finally understand why many women confuse superficial attention for real love. After observing how men behave when they are deeply in love versus when they are just testing the waters, I've seen a clear pattern that never fails. And I'm not talking about the usual signs like frequent texting or an eagerness to hang out. I'm referring to something much more intimate and revealing. The truth is, from a young age, most men are taught to build emotional defenses. We grow up learning that showing vulnerability is a weakness. A real man should never show cracks in his armor and must always appear composed. That's why it speaks volumes, even though it's quiet. When a man starts breaking down those emotional barriers around you and reveals parts of himself he usually protects, it's a silent declaration of how much you mean to him. What most people don't realize is this: when a man is truly in love, he stops trying to impress and starts aiming to connect on a deeper level. He lets go of the pressure to appear perfect and shows his true self. This shift shows up in real ways. I want to share them with you because recognizing these patterns can change the way you view relationships and the way men express their love. One of the first and most telling signs is when he begins to talk about his failures and the emotional moments from his past. I'm not referring to the light-hearted confessions people share early on. I'm talking about the deep-rooted stories that still resonate in their memory, like emotional imprints. When a man opens up about a choice he regrets, a relationship he damaged because of immaturity, or a path he avoided due to fear, he's doing something rare in male culture. He's letting go of the carefully crafted image of invulnerability that he's worked so hard to maintain. Men are constantly pressured to appear strong, reliable, and in control. Admitting failure goes against that image. But when he's truly in love, when he's found someone he wants to be known by, the need for perfection diminishes. And this is where things become even more compelling. A man who's in love doesn't just talk about past regrets. He also opens up about his current fears and worries about the future. He shares the doubts that keep him up at night, the fear of not being enough, the concern that he might fall short, not just for himself, but for you and the life he wants to build with you. That kind of openness doesn't happen when a man is only partially invested. In those cases, he'll radiate confidence, hide any weaknesses, and only show you the polished version of himself. But true love allows room for honesty, and with honesty comes imperfection. We come to understand that intimacy isn't built on admiration. It's built on being truly known. Genuine connection flourishes when two people can see each other clearly, flaws and all. This change in a man's emotional expression is deeply revealing. A man who once held tightly to the image of being untouchable now admits that he's unsure, that he has moments of doubt, that he sometimes feels inadequate. And he does this not because he's become smaller, but because he's become emotionally mature. He understands that strength isn't about silence, it's about being willing to be vulnerable with someone you trust. One of the sweetest ways this vulnerability shows is through humor. A man who's in love won't just talk about his successes, he'll also share his awkward moments. He might recall a time he embarrassed himself in public or said something completely off the mark. He tells you these stories not because they make him look good, but because he no longer feels the need to be perfect in your eyes. When a man can laugh at himself in front of you and still feel secure in his masculinity, you've created a space where he can just be, without rules, without armor. And that's a space most men spend their lives silently searching for. But we only open that door for someone who truly matters. That shared humor, especially when it centers on vulnerability, creates a rare kind of intimacy. It's not the kind of humor we use to win attention or to cover up discomfort. It's the type that's rooted in trust. It says, I'm letting you see me at my least impressive, and I know you'll still be here. It's the kind of laughter that communicates, you can laugh with me because I know you love me. Not despite who I am, but because of it. Love goes even deeper. One of the most telling signs that a man's heart is fully engaged is when he begins to talk about his upbringing, his family, his childhood, the experiences that shaped him. This territory is delicate for many men, especially if it involves unresolved pain. When a man opens up about his relationship with his parents or his childhood experiences, he's not just sharing memories. He's giving you access to the core of his emotions, his habits, his fears, his worldview. He's allowing you to see the younger version of himself, the boy who became the man before you. He's not doing this for sympathy. He's doing it as an invitation to understand him more deeply. And that's something we don't do lightly. We share it when we want someone to walk with us, not just forward, but all the way back, to see where we've come from and why we are the way we are. Often, this kind of sharing is intertwined with pain. He might talk about a distant father, a mother who was either too controlling or neglectful, about family dysfunction, about emotional needs that were never met. When a man lets you see these emotional scars, he's essentially saying, I trust you enough to reveal the parts of me that are still healing. What many women don't realize is that sharing family stories requires great courage. These are the chapters of our lives that shaped our sense of self-worth, informed how we express emotions, and still influence how we give and receive love. When a man shares this part of himself, he's offering you more than just context. He's giving you the blueprint to his heart. It explains why he reacts to certain things the way he does, why certain gestures mean so much to him, and why he shuts down at particular moments. And then we reach perhaps the clearest indication of real love, the way he speaks about you, not with vague compliments or repeated phrases, but with a clear explanation of the impact you've had on him, how your presence changes the atmosphere when you enter the room, how your kindness surprises him, how your voice soothes him when his mind is racing. A man in love doesn't just tell you that you're special, explains why. He tells you which of your quirks disarm him, which of your habits make him feel truly seen. In those moments, he may also expose his deepest fear, the fear of losing you, the fear that he isn't enough, the worry that someone else might eventually take his place in your heart. While these fears may seem like insecurity, they are in fact echoes of love. A man only fears losing what he truly values, and he only questions his worth when he's deeply invested in keeping someone who has become a vital part of his emotional home. When he opens up about these doubts, with no pretense or pride, that is not a sign of weakness, it's pure devotion. The difference between a man who is in love and one who is merely intrigued lies in the way he speaks your name. The interested man will offer shallow praise. He'll tell you you're beautiful, fun, or that he likes your energy. But the man in love says, I love how you light up when you talk about something you care about. I admire how you stand up for others, even when it's hard. You make me feel at ease. These aren't trivial compliments. They're proof that he's been paying close attention, not just to your outward appearance, but to your essence. He's not just enjoying your presence. He's trying to understand your soul. Perhaps the most tender, unmistakable sign of love is when a man begins sharing his boldest dreams with you. The kind of dreams he usually keeps hidden because they feel too precious to expose to the world. Men often keep their biggest ambitions close to their chest, not because they lack confidence, but because the fear of failure in public feels more painful than quiet disappointment. To admit to a big dream is to confess the possibility of failing, and that can shake the very core of the identity he has built. So when a man dares to share his most exciting, terrifying goals, like a career change, starting a business, or pursuing personal growth, and especially when he includes you in that vision, it means everything. This is a contradiction of his natural instinct for self-preservation. He is willing to risk his image as a capable, composed man to reveal his most personal vision of the future with you. Here's something many don't fully understand. When a man involves you in his long-term dreams, when he talks about plans that include both of you and asks for your input on significant matters, it's not just out of politeness or a superficial gesture. It shows that you have become a critical part of his life's blueprint, You are no longer just a beautiful addition to his life. You are now a foundational part of the future he is working towards. This inclusion in his aspirations and future plans is one of the most profound ways a man can express his love. It means that he sees you not just as a part of his present, but as an integral part of his future. When he imagines success, he envisions celebrating those victories with you. When he anticipates tough times, he sees you standing by his side, working together as a team to face them. This bond deepens further when he opens up not only about his ambitions, but also about the fears that accompany them. When he admits to you that sometimes he wonders if he's good enough, if he has the courage to take risks, or if he's on the right path, he is showing a level of trust that goes beyond the surface. He's revealing not just the polished, confident version of himself, but also the man who struggles with self-doubt. This kind of emotional vulnerability is courageous. A man who shares his concerns about his worth, his fear of not measuring up, and his uncertainty about his direction is exposing his soul. He's hoping you'll see him as a person, not just a symbol of strength, but as someone who is working through his own internal battles. This level of trust is rare. It's not easy for a man to let go of the image of always being in control, but he's doing it because he values your reassurance, your presence, and your understanding. He's willing to risk being emotionally vulnerable to create something real with you. But there are deeper levels of vulnerability that come when a man reveals the most transformative emotional wounds he's endured. These are the real turning points in his life. The loss of someone he loved, betrayals that scarred him, moments of emotional darkness, times when he felt completely lost. When he opens up about these experiences, when he allows you to witness the events that left emotional scars, he's doing something rooted in complete trust. He's letting you see the moments when he was exposed, raw, and profoundly human. This is not something men do lightly or frequently. It's something we share only with those we believe are emotionally safe, those we feel are worthy of holding the delicate, unpolished pieces of who we are. This kind of transparency is extremely meaningful, because these painful moments often shape our entire worldview. They are life-changing events that make us both stronger and more aware of how fragile we can be. When a man trusts you with these parts of his past, it's not just about the story. It's about how those events redefined him, what he learned from them, and how they left a lasting impact. It's his silent way of saying, I want you to understand not just what I've been through, but how those experiences shaped me. I want you to see my scars because they are part of who I am. And if you're going to love me, I need you to accept all of me. Damaged parts included, this trust deepens even more when he starts talking to you about his mental health. In a world where men are often expected to remain emotionally impenetrable, acknowledging depression, anxiety, or emotional exhaustion is a sign of incredible strength. When a man confides in you that he's been through mental lows, that sometimes life feels too heavy to bear, and that he craves emotional support, he's breaking free from a deeply ingrained societal expectation. By sharing these truths, he's telling you that he trusts you completely. He's willing to let go of the image of being invincible to create something authentic with you. Choosing to reveal these personal truths is never easy. It's contrary to everything men are taught about how they should behave. But this is where the beauty of emotional intimacy lies. When a man chooses to let you see these hidden parts of himself, he's not just being vulnerable with you. He's laying the foundation for a relationship that can withstand anything. This connection is based on raw, unfiltered truth, not on a facade designed to impress. It's about the totality of who he is, and that is the greatest gift he can offer. When this happens, when a man opens that emotional door, it's important to realize that you're witnessing something sacred. You're seeing a man choosing truth over appearance, real closeness over fake charm, and emotional vulnerability over emotional safety. You're witnessing someone who has made the decision that you are worth the risk of being fully seen, with all the fears, insecurities, and imperfections that come with it. This is the real difference between a man who is simply interested and a man who truly loves. A man who is interested wants admiration. He wants to be wanted. He desires to be desired. But the man who loves, he wants to be truly seen. He wants to be understood. He doesn't seek validation for a mask. He hopes to be accepted for the person he really is. The interested man always holds back part of himself. He keeps parts of his heart hidden behind invisible walls. He shows only the parts that are easy to like, that require no emotional effort, that cost him nothing. But the man in love does the opposite. He lets you see everything. His fears, his contradictions, his restless thoughts, his unfiltered hopes, his hidden doubts. He lets you into the version of himself he hides from the world, the one who struggles to sleep at night, who questions his worth, who fights invisible battles. And here's the deepest truth: when a man chooses to open up emotionally like this, he's offering more than just stories or facts. He's inviting you into a closeness that goes beyond romance. He's letting you step into his internal world, into the chaos, the tenderness, the inner struggles and fragile dreams. He's silently saying, I'm looking for someone to walk through life with. Someone who will stand with me through both the celebrations and the challenges. Someone who doesn't just witness my happiness, but shares in my struggles. This is the most genuine invitation a man can offer, to be completely known and to know someone at the same level. It's an invitation to build something beyond surface attraction or temporary compatibility. It's a proposal to form a bond that grows stronger with every challenge, not weaker. A bond that deepens through shared pain, not one that falls apart. It's based on complete acceptance, not on illusions. Once you see this clearly, once you understand what it means when a man opens up like this, you will never again settle for anything shallow. You will begin to crave true closeness because you will know that this kind of emotional honesty is the real foundation of lasting relationships. You'll stop being impressed by flashy words or grand gestures. You will value the man who dares to show his true self over any performance. You'll realize that true intimacy is not in perfect moments, it's in real moments. In the tough conversations, the brave confessions, the quiet moments where two people are willing to accept each other's rawness. So, if you're experiencing this level of emotional depth with someone now, if you see these signs in your relationship, recognize what you have. It's rare, it's real. Very few men ever reach a place where they're emotionally mature enough to open up fully. Not every man is ready to let go of his emotional armor for vulnerability. Not every man understands that real strength comes from dropping the illusion of invulnerability, especially with the right woman. And if you haven't found that man yet, don't lose hope. And above all, don't settle for anything that forces you to shrink your emotional needs. This kind of love, this real connection, exists. And it's worth waiting for. When you do find this kind of love, the love that's built on emotional courage, not ego or appearance, you'll see how rare and powerful it truly is. You'll look back on the times you mistook control for confidence, mystery for depth, or charm for emotional safety, and you'll understand them differently. You'll understand that what really matters is not how well someone can impress you, but how open they are to showing themselves. How willing they are to let you into the hidden places of their heart, the places they usually keep locked away. And in those moments, you'll begin to notice something inside yourself. You'll find your own ability to love growing stronger when someone meets you in that space of truth. When a man lays down his defenses and shows you the weight he carries, something inside of you rises, not in pity, not in the need to rescue, but in understanding, because we all carry burdens. We all have times when we doubt ourselves, when we wonder if we're enough, when we feel like the world asks too much and understands too little. And when a man gives you space to see his battles, you will feel safe enough to share yours. That's the beauty of mutual vulnerability. It builds a bridge where both people walk towards each other with open hands, not closed fists. It's no longer about performance or perfection. It's about emotional truth, and that truth becomes the glue that holds your relationship together. It binds not only your joyful moments, but the hard ones too. The disappointments, the losses, the times when nothing makes sense. When two people can hold space for each other's struggles and still reach for each other's strengths, that's when real love begins. That's when love moves from being a feeling to becoming a decision, an act of commitment. But this kind of love requires maturity. It demands patience, emotional awareness, and the strength to choose depth over drama. It asks you to stop chasing short-term excitement and to value consistency, presence, and emotional honesty. Because the man who is willing to drop the masks, who is brave enough to show not just his successes, but his failures, is the man who will stand by you when life challenges you. He's the one who will stay calm when you feel overwhelmed, who will listen when you feel lost, and who will stay when others would leave. This isn't the kind of love that fades away quickly. It's not a temporary spark that dies when the excitement wears off. It's the kind of love that lasts through the seasons, that stands strong in the face of storms, that doesn't collapse when things aren't perfect. It's love that gets deeper over time, a love that becomes wiser, kinder, more grounded in truth with every passing day. And most importantly, it's a love that chooses you, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you truly are, at your most unguarded. It's the kind of love that still looks at you with gentleness, even when you're falling apart. And when you experience that, you'll stop craving relationships that keep you guessing. You'll stop tolerating those that leave you feeling anxious or unseen. Because the man who is emotionally available, who shows up with character instead of just charm, will make you feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. He'll give space to your vulnerability just as you do to his. That mutual emotional safety becomes the place where your connection grows. With him, silence won't be awkward, it will be peaceful. Conversations won't need to be full of constant activity. They can be quiet, reflective, and still feel deeply connected. You won't feel the need to always be on around him. You can have days when you're tired, emotional, or uncertain, and instead of pulling away, he'll lean in. Instead of judging, he'll listen. Instead of withdrawing, he'll stay. That kind of emotional loyalty, that emotional endurance, makes love feel like home. Because true love doesn't thrive in perfect conditions. It thrives in the messy, complicated, and beautifully human moments. It thrives when two people are ready to show each other the parts of themselves that no one else sees. When they're willing to admit, this is who I am. Not just the good parts, but the uncertain, the healing, and the growing parts. And that love, the kind of love that doesn't turn away when it sees your raw truth, is the love worth waiting for. If you're still waiting for that kind of love, remember, you're not asking for too much. You're asking for what's real, lasting, and goes beyond surface attraction. Don't rush. Don't settle for anything less than what you deserve. Wait for the man who makes you feel emotionally seen, the man who doesn't avoid uncomfortable truths, the man who invites you into his world and welcomes you as you are. Because when you meet him, you'll understand that all the waiting, the heartaches, and the lessons were all preparing you for this moment.